Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Marvel Cinematic Universe Retrospective, taking a look at each film in the MCU and seeing how well they hold up. Last time, we saw the first actual departure from the Marvel formula with Guardians of the Galaxy, a cosmic adventure fit for all. Today, we look at the culmination of every other Phase 2 movie with Avengers: Age of Ultron. To say this film had a lot to live up to would be an understatement. Considering the first Avengers movie was not only a hit with critics and audiences, but also one of the highest grossing films of all time, the pressure was high to recapture and even surpass that level of success. To attempt this, Marvel did their best to repeat what they had done before. This included getting Joss Whedon to write and direct again. The only significant changes in the production team were cinematographer Ben Davis taking over for Seamus McGarvey, and Brian Tyler and Danny Elfman replacing Alan Silvestri as composer. The title of Age of Ultron was drawn from the comic book storyline of the same name, though Ultron's origins and fight against the Avengers were different from its namesake. The production did location filming in several countries, including South Korea, South Africa, and other countries in Europe. With that and the number of big stars, this became the second most expensive film ever made, right under Pirates of the Caribbean 4. Much care and consideration went in with each character's storyline to fit with their previous and future installments, particularly with the Hulk, since he hadn't received another standalone outing like his teammates. Marvel also wanted to introduce more heroes to add to the Avengers roster. This ended up with a similar result to Iron Man 2, sadly, with the executives giving constant notes for changes with the director's vision. Couple that with an even bigger ensemble than before, Whedon felt less inclined to return for a third film. In hindsight, this turned out for the better, not just because of how well the other sequels turned out, but also the recent revelation of Whedon's on-set behavior with the whole Justice League debacle. The film premiered in 2015 and did manage to become one of the highest grossing films of all time. However, it didn't quite manage to beat its predecessor, and a good chunk of criticism focused on the number of characters and arcs as well as a cliched story. Kind of ironic considering the headcount in Infinity War and Endgame. Compared to the other Avengers movies, Age of Ultron is usually seen as the weakest of the four. With the Infinity Saga finally at a close, is this entry worth going back to? Let's see if it does. The film opens with a continuation of the post-credits scene from Captain America: The Winter Soldier, with Hydra agents Baron Wolfgang von Strucker, played by Thomas Kretschmann, and Dr. List, played by Henry Goodman, harnessing the power of Loki's scepter for their own benefits. The Avengers storm their base in Sokovia, a fictional European country from the comics, and eliminate their forces. This opening action scene is just a great reminder of why the first film worked. The interactions between each hero and how well they work together make a wonderful set piece. Cap goes after Strucker while Tony searches for the scepter. Two of Strucker's human experiments, the Maximoff twins, fend off the team. These are Pietro, played by Aaron Taylor Johnson, who has super speed, and Wanda, played by Elizabeth Olsen, who has telekinesis. Technically, these are the first mutants in the MCU, though they are never directly called such. Because of licensing complications with Fox, they couldn't use the term mutants. To compensate, they referred to them as enhanced. Their origin is a little ambiguous, implying that Strucker used the scepter to give them their powers. When Disney bought Fox and the rights to the X-Men were returned to Marvel, they later retconned it so that the scepter unlocked the X gene in their DNA. In the comics, the characters are more closely associated with the Avengers, so that's why Marvel wanted them. There were further complications due to Pietro appearing in X-Men Days of Future Past, with his name changed to Peter and fully adopting his alter ego of Quicksilver. This brings me to another point. Despite the Maximoffs being credited as Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, the characters are never called these names in the movies. In fact, it wasn't until WandaVision that the name of Scarlet Witch was even addressed in the MCU canon. This could have been another licensing issue, but there's no evidence to support it. But I digress. Pietro fends off Hawkeye, who gets seriously injured, and Wanda taps into Tony's mind and visualizes his worst fear. Tony sees a fleet of Chitauri over Earth and the bodies of his comrades at his feet. The Avengers are slain, with a ghostly Cap blaming Tony for not doing enough. This may have been Whedon's original plan for a third Avengers film as part of Thanos' invasion, but it's only speculation. Tony comes out of the vision shaken, while Wanda looks on in shock. However, a sinister smile comes across her as she lets Tony get away with the scepter, leading to the title card. The Avengers leave Sokovia victorious, though Bruce is still a little tense after the battle. Here, they actually have a great dynamic between him and the Hulk. They only bring him out during a code green when things seem tough and need extra muscle. To get him to revert to Bruce, Natasha goes to him and uses a lullaby to soothe him. At least, they call it a lullaby. It's actually just Natasha saying, "Hey big guy, the sun's getting real low." She also uses her hand for skin contact, which helps Bruce regain control. It's the first time we've seen the Hulk conditioned to give up his spot, and I think it's a shame that they never expanded on it. The team make it back to Avengers Tower, where Korean Dr. Cho, played by Claudia Kim, treats Clint. Meanwhile, Tony and Bruce examine the scepter and find that the gem contained in it is essentially a brain, artificial intelligence. Tony believes this is the key to creating Ultron, a defense mechanism to protect the entire planet. Bruce is hesitant about making it and not telling the rest of the team, but it's clear Tony's vision has reaffirmed his fears about the Chitauri invasion. They begin work on Ultron and let Jarvis supervise him while the team celebrates their recent victory. Ultron activates, looks through the internet database, and immediately decides that humanity needs to be destroyed. This is, of course, the classic trope of AI turning on man to save the world. However, to the film's credit, they utilize it quite well. I also appreciate how they got the turn on humanity part out of the way as quickly as possible, with Ultron attacking and deactivating Jarvis. Meanwhile, the party includes some guest appearances from Rhodey, Sam, and Maria Hill. Pepper and Jane are absent due to their busy work. We also get one of the best Stan Lee cameos, with him playing a World War II vet, which he actually was in real life. He even gets to say his famous catchphrase, "Excelsior!" My favorite scene from the party, though, is with Thor's hammer. Each of the Avengers, save for Natasha, try out lifting the hammer, and all fail, though Steve comes pretty close. However, their fun is interrupted when Ultron, who took on physical form with a model from the Iron Legion, makes his entrance. James Spader played Ultron through motion capture, and it's a great performance. He gives the character more personality than the standard evil AI. Ultron feels more realistic because he has a personality. He sends the Legion on the team, who fight them off while escaping into the net and steals the scepter. The team is rightfully upset at Tony's actions, but he is adamant that he's justified because of what happened before. They can only do so much to protect the Earth. Ultron contacts the Maximoffs and convinces them to join his cause to destroy the Avengers. We also get some backstory from the twins as to why and how they ended up with Strucker. When they were kids, their home was bombed by shells from Stark Industries, killing their parents and leaving them trapped under the rubble, with the fear of another bomb going off. With Ultron's help, they killed Strucker and erased all digital files on him. The Avengers search through printed files and find a black market dealer named Ulysses Claw, played by Andy Serkis. Claw operates in South Africa and has access to vibranium from Wakanda, another fictional country from the comics, and more lead-ins to Black Panther's debut. Ultron buys said vibranium off Claw, but cuts off his arm when he angers him. The Avengers manage to track them down, and a fight ensues. In terms of the movie's action, I feel this is elevated from the last one. The attacks have more weight, and everyone's abilities, including the Maximoffs, are showcased well here. Tony chases after Ultron while the rest of the team fight off Pietro. Wanda then uses her powers to tap into each member's fear. Thor sees the fall of Asgard because of him. Natasha sees her past in the Red Room, where she was trained to be an assassin from childhood, and Steve sees his own time with Peggy celebrating the war is over. While Natasha and Thor's visions make great allusions to their later films, Steve's is the most interesting. The idea that he could never be satisfied with peace and ever retire provides an intriguing insight into his mental state. It is kind of confusing given his fate in Endgame, but we'll get there soon. Hawkeye manages to avoid Wanda's mind games, but she succeeds in getting to Bruce, who transforms into the Hulk. I love how we don't see his vision. We're just left to wonder what would cause him to come out. Ultron and the twins escape, leaving Tony to pacify the Hulk, causing mass destruction in Johannesburg. He summons Veronica, aka the Hulkbuster armor, and struggles to keep him under control and prevent collateral damage. Eventually, he manages to knock him out, but the damage is done. The Avengers are shaken, and the world isn't too fond of them right now. They decide to lay low while waiting for Ultron to show himself. Clint takes them to a safe house, revealed to be his family's home. That's right, Hawkeye has a wife, played by Linda Cardellini, and kids. Thor, still disturbed by his vision, leaves to find answers with the help of Dr. Selvig. Here, the plot takes a back seat while the characters are just people. This is a highlight in the movie for many, and it's easy to see why. We love seeing our heroes be real people. Once again, the interactions are what make the film. We also see the romance between Bruce and Natasha Bloom, which I don't feel is out of left field like many claim. It feels like a natural progression for their relationship. There's even an extra dive into her backstory, with her revealing she had an involuntary hysterectomy in the Red Room as part of her training. Fury shows up to give the team a pep talk while Thor consults with the Mystic Oracle and is shown a prophecy on the Infinity Stones. During all of this, Ultron goes to Seoul and uses the scepter to brainwash Dr. Cho and use her revolutionary regeneration technology, the Cradle, to create a new body for him made out of vibranium and human tissue. Wanda is able to read his mind with the body and discovers his true plan to destroy the world. She frees Cho from Ultron's control and escapes with Pietro, betraying him. The Avengers track the Cradle and fight to get the gem from the scepter out of it. The Maximoffs join in and help save the civilians, while Ultron escapes and kidnaps Natasha. Clint manages to secure the Cradle and begins searching for Natasha, while Wanda tells Steve that Tony will still try to fix Ultron with the Cradle, so the three go to stop him. Tony does exactly that after finding Jarvis hiding from Ultron and protecting the nuclear warheads. He convinces Bruce to help again, saying that they could use this new form to stop Ultron. Steve and the Maximoffs try to intervene, but Thor shows up and summons lightning on the Cradle, giving the body new life. The body, referred to as Vision, is powered by the gem from the scepter, revealed to be the Mind Stone. Vision is configured with Jarvis, creating a whole new entity. This was mainly an excuse to let Paul Bettany play Vision, which I think is great. Not only does he get to properly interact with the rest of the cast, but he also plays the character with a distinct difference to Jarvis, as Vision is a much more altruistic version of Ultron. The team is unsure if they can trust him, but Vision says that they must make haste to stop Ultron from destroying Sokovia as part of his plan. He's also able to lift Thor's hammer, which convinces them. They prepare to leave while Tony uploads a new AI to his system named Friday, voiced by Carrie Condon. Ultron tries to use a massive chunk of the Sokovian land to launch a bombardment on the planet. The Avengers and company arrive and begin evacuating the city, but are too late as the area is lifted from the Earth. Everyone works together to defeat Ultron's army in the climax, while Fury uses a rebuilt helicarrier to carry people to safety, with War Machine providing backup. Once again, I feel this is a massive improvement from the first film. The stakes just feel larger, and the battle has more cohesiveness. Vision manages to shut Ultron out of the net, leaving only his physical forms. During the fight, Wanda and Pietro help as well, becoming unofficial Avengers. As Hawkeye goes to save a child, Ultron fires at him. Pietro jumps in to protect them, but is killed by the bullets, devastating Wanda. This repeats a similar death in the first film, with Pietro's sacrifice being the thing she avenges. She does so by ripping the heart out of Ultron's main body. With the civilians rescued and the bombardment minimalized thanks to Iron Man and Thor, Vision destroys what's left of Ultron. During all of this, the Hulk leaves the team in a Quinjet to protect them, particularly Natasha. His fate is purposely left ambiguous, as they weren't sure where to take the character next. It later provided a nice lead-in for his appearance in Thor Ragnarok and adopting the Planet Hulk storyline. In the aftermath of the battle, Thor leaves Earth in search of answers to the recent appearances of the Infinity Stones. Tony hangs up the suit, so to speak, and retires from the team. This was mainly due to RDJ's contract, as they were still in negotiations for renewal after his initial deal expired. Clint returns home and also retires, giving his newborn son Nathaniel the middle name Pietro in honor of his sacrifice. This leaves Steve and Natasha as the only original members still active, with the new Avengers base on a compound in upstate New York. They even have divisions led by Fury, Selvig, and Cho. The film ends with Steve and Natasha bringing in their new team, made up of War Machine, Falcon, Vision, and Wanda. Originally, this group was referred to as the New Avengers, with the base being literally called the New Avengers Facility. This might have been Whedon's plan for future Avengers films, with each installment introducing new team factions. Since they never directly addressed them as New Avengers, and the base was later renamed to the Avengers Compound, the possibility of a proper team could still happen. In the mid-credit scene, Thanos dons a gauntlet and declares that he'll retrieve the Infinity Stones himself. It seems that the original idea was to have him playing an intricate chess game, assembling the pieces from the shadows while waiting for his chance to strike. I could see this working in some parts, since he manipulated Ronan for the Power Stone and used Loki to retrieve the Tesseract, but how would he know about the Time Stone or the Ether? For that matter, how would he know about Hydra and Ultron's plans with the Mind Stone? The pieces don't quite fit together as they'd like to. Maybe the exact plan for Avengers 3 was different from the end result. It could have been because of Marvel or Whedon, but we can't be sure. The scene was meant to reaffirm that Thanos would be the next major Avengers villain, since fans were confused about why he wasn't for the second film after being teased in the first. The film doesn't have a post-credits scene, a rarity for the MCU, since Whedon couldn't figure out a scene that would work, even as a joke. But with that, we come to the end of Age of Ultron. When this film first came out, I was among the fans who enjoyed it, even if the story and characters felt overwhelming. Looking back at it now, I think it's even better than the first movie. This does exactly what a sequel should do: elevate the characters and raise the stakes. The story seemed to flow naturally, with interactions complementing it rather than the story being built around the interactions like the first film. And even though I do still recommend Avengers 1, I'd prefer watching this one any day. While the Avengers were handling another enormous threat, a new hero dealt with a challenge on a much smaller scale. Join me next time when we look at Ant-Man and see if this miniaturized adventure still leaves a significant impact. Until then, if you want to keep up with my videos, then be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. You can also follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, and check out my VODs on my other channel. If you enjoyed the video, then feel free to leave a like and share with friends. Thanks for watching, stay safe, and I'll see you next time.